Hello, and welcome back to Formiti Privacy Pulse, the podcast where we explore everything you need to know about global data privacy compliance, real-world risks, and how to keep your organization's data protection posture strong and resilient. I am your host, Annie Garcia, Senior Legal Manager at Formiti Data International. In today's episode, we are diving into one of the most overlooked but critical aspects of data protection compliance: vendor risk management. If your organization shares or entrusts personal data to third parties, whether it is cloud providers, software vendors, payroll companies, or marketing platforms, this episode is for you. We will cover the following topics. 1. How to evaluate and monitor your third parties. 2. Why data processing agreements are more than just legal formalities. 3. The hidden risk of sub-processors. And 4. How AI is transforming and complicating vendor risk. Vendor risk management is not just a privacy checkbox. It is a business-critical function. Organizations commonly engage third parties for essential services such as cloud hosting, payroll, or marketing. When these vendors process personal data, the responsibility for compliance under laws like the GDPR and PDPA is still with the organization, not the vendor. If your vendor suffers a breach or mishandles data, it is your organization that faces the fines, regulatory scrutiny, and reputational fallout. It's not always clear where the risks are. Most organizations lack full visibility into which vendors are processing personal data, and even less visibility into which sub-processors those vendors are using behind the scenes. That is why vendor risk management needs to be both proactive and continuous, not just something you do at contract signing. It is important to understand who processes your data, how data is protected, and how sub-processors are managed to remain compliant and resilient. Understanding the role of sub-processors. Let's define those roles quickly. A processor is a third party who processes personal data on your behalf. A sub-processor is anyone that your processor brings in to help, say, a cloud hosting provider or analytics partner. Here's the problem. Sub-processors are often hidden behind layers of agreements, and if you're not careful, personal data may be shared with organizations you've never heard of, in jurisdictions you haven't assessed, with security controls you haven't audited. That's where data processing agreements, or DPAs, come into play. Data processing agreements, DPAs, your legal safety net. A data processing agreement, or DPA, is not just a formality. It's a legal requirement under laws like the EU and UK GDPR and serves as your organization's primary safeguard when outsourcing data processing to third parties. A strong DPA should clearly define how personal data is managed, the security measures in place, the limits on sub-processing, and your rights to access, audit, and intervene. But here's where a number of organizations fall short. Even with a signed DPA in place, failing to actively assess or audit your processors and their sub-processors can seriously weaken, or even invalidate, the agreement's protections. And here's why. Lack of oversight can make your documented instructions meaningless, especially if the processor is acting outside of them without detection. Failure to exercise audit rights may be interpreted by regulators as negligence or acceptance of non-compliance. Unverified sub-processing arrangements may introduce hidden data transfers or risks that directly violate terms of the DPA and, by extension, the law. And if a breach or complaint occurs, and a DPA unsupported by due diligence or ongoing monitoring may be treated as a paper shield, offering little legal or regulatory defense. In other words, signing a DPA and filing it away isn't enough. The DPA is only as strong as the compliance practices that support it. To make a DPA legally meaningful, organizations must 1. Regularly review the processor's security and privacy controls. 2. Validate the list of sub-processors and obtain notification of any changes. 3. Exercise audit rights or request third-party certifications. And 4. Document all due diligence actions taken, especially at onboarding and renewal. Without these steps, you risk more than non-compliance. You risk being left exposed when the agreement is put to the test. Next, third-party due diligence, beyond the paper. Due diligence is more than reading a privacy policy or ticking a vendor questionnaire. Your organization needs to 1. Understand the nature and sensitivity of the data shared. 2. Review the vendor's technical and organizational measures. 3. Assess their geographical data transfers. 4. Evaluate their incident response capabilities. And 5. Map out all known sub-processors. It's also a good idea to regularly reassess your vendors, not just during onboarding. Cybersecurity threats and operational risks evolve, so your risk posture must keep up. This is where Formiti's vendor assessment tools and managed services can play a vital role. But more on that later. You may be asking, what about AI? Now let's talk about the elephant in the server room: artificial intelligence. If your third-party vendors are using AI, especially generative AI or machine learning systems in their data processing activities, this adds a new layer of complexity. Always ask the following: is AI used to make automated decisions that affect individuals? Is training data or output data stored or reused? Is personal data being inferred or enriched? Your DPA must include specific clauses if AI is involved. This might cover data minimization, explainability, auditability of algorithms, and safeguards against bias or discrimination. And your due diligence process should assess the AI model lifecycle, from design to deployment and retirement. Don't rely on generic answers like, our AI is GDPR compliant. Always dig deeper. Best practices for vendor risk management. Let's wrap up with a few actionable tips. Centralize your vendor inventory. Know who processes what. Use a tiered risk model. Not all vendors need the same scrutiny. Mandate DPAs. No processing without a signed agreement. Include audit rights. Demand transparency. Always reassess vendors regularly, especially after incidents or changes in services. Use smart tools. Leverage AI risk assessments and automated contract workflows where possible. Document everything. If you can't prove it, it didn't happen. Managing third-party risk is not just a compliance requirement, it's a strategic necessity. With personal data flowing across borders, platforms, and AI-powered systems, your organization needs to maintain visibility, control, and accountability. At Formiti, we help our clients implement end-to-end third-party risk management, from contract review, rapid redlining, and DPA drafting to ongoing vendor audits and sub-processor mapping. If your organization needs to tighten its vendor risk controls, we're just a consultation call away. Thanks for listening to this episode of Formiti Privacy Pulse. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and visit formiti.com for more expert insights and services to power your privacy program. Until next time, stay secure, stay compliant, and remember, you can outsource the work, but not the responsibility.